The top cringe yo.
Welcome to the
I'm listening.
cringiest cringe content.
So,
Yeah.
Jacques, you can start. I'll go second, I guess. Why are you reading?
So I got a plan. Want to talk about, you guys pass or something? Yeah. Jack, start. Let's go. Funny stories. Man.
Jack?
What do you got?
Who's Jack? Who's Jack? Alright, so I'll just start. So in fifth grade, as in like normal, any normal children would have on their birthday, there was a party. So this party was like the family type of party, and as a spoiled brat as I was, this party was mostly like good food, presents, and like all the common events. But it lasted all night, and I ended up going to bed at 12, which is unusual since I was in 5th grade, and I counted it as an amazing feat since it's it's 12. Like, you don't sleep at 12, right, guys? You guys don't sleep at 12. Okay, so at around 2 a.m. I suddenly got brutally woken up by horrible screams that are coming from my stomach. Yes, it's like I had a stomach ache, and I didn't know what it was. Was it something I've eaten? Did I run too much? Did I eat too fast? But to this day, I still don't know. I also end up having the same problem like 3 to 4 times like in my life. So I thought I could withstand this pain, but at 15 minutes later, I was agonizing on the floor and crying for help. What is that reaction for? Was that any normal parents would be like caring to me and like comforting me in this situation and bringing me to hospital? But like, what can you expect when there's like a child that's waking you at 2 a.m. doing the worm on the floor?
No.
So naturally, they stared at me blankly, and in a monotonous voice, they said, "Bring him to the hospital." And then, they wind up bringing me to the Montreal's Children's Hospital. In case you haven't noticed, that hospital is located in Montreal. Okay, and I live in Brossard. And since Montreal, I have to withstand 30 minutes of pain inside the car. And since I couldn't even like live 15 minutes with a stomachache, imagine 30 minutes in a car. And by the time we arrived, my eyes were blank, and like I was praying to the gods that I won't die. And the hospital there, like judging by the looks, it was pretty run down and destroyed. Like, the main entrance was empty, all the walls had a faint colors, and there were cracks everywhere. So much for a warm welcome. Even worse, there were no indications to where to go, as it wasn't a hospital, but it was like connected to other stuff. You didn't really know where the exact reception was, and everywhere was empty. So there was no indication, no people to help us. And it was just run down and stuff, but it still worked for some reason. And we kind of got lost there for 5 minutes, and my dad had to ask directions with the fewer people that were there. So okay, we managed to get to the reception, me and my parents, and they asked us to run a urine sample. Yes, I had to. Okay, let's not talk about what I had to do, because it seems pretty obvious. So after, they had to see if there's any anomalies that are from my urine, but like after that was done, I had to wait 8 hours just to see if there was any results in the test. Okay, during that time, I was looking at the waiting room to see if there was something that entertained me, because I'm in 5th grade. Okay, I can't not be bored, so I had to look for something. But even though it was a children's hospital, it was so run down and destroyed. The only thing that was like related, like children, like there's games. Usually in hospitals there's games, but the only thing that was here in the hospital was just a TV that were playing Shrek. No, Monster Inc. with no sound. The sound was cut.
This big brain.
And well, I ended up just not doing anything for 8 hours. And So I was supposing that there would be more since this is a children's hospital, but I was stuck in a room with a silent TV and screaming children. Great. Okay, the results finally came 8 hours later, and since that time was the third time I'd have it, I was hoping that like I'd find what actually happened, like with my stomach, like what's the problem, but the results were negative.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
To this day, I still don't know what's the cause behind it, and on my way back, the pain suited. I guess that's the work of natural body defense system. So, I guess that this kind of changed my views on like the society because, okay, listen, what I mean is that since I thought that that I went to hospital, I thought that everything would be like going fine for me, but I kind of learned from this that not everything goes your way, and that sometimes you just have to deal with what you have. And this also changed my vision of health, we could say that. After this, no more stomach ache problem. I started taking more care of myself, and yeah, that's it.
Damn, that's some good lessons right there. I thought I'd be back.
I think it was. I'm gonna take a water bottle. Wait. Give me a sec. I know. It's for a project. I don't want her to see my Discord name.
I guess it's my turn now, right? So this one will be big. Since, you know, I'm special, I'm gonna count it from the third point of view. So,
Okay.
in a distant time, where Santa Claus was dashing around the world at the speed of light, and $100 could even buy you a house.
In Roblox.
One youngster, one special one at that, was saving up every little money he could find. Why, you may ask? Well, that's for later. Collecting the nearly valueless copper coins known as 1 cents that were lying around all over the soil of this desolate country known as Montreal. Although the collection of such small amounts of dough might have seemed meaningless in the eyes of the giants, also known as adults, this little twerp had a dream.
I have a dream.
By slowly harvesting huge amounts of cents, they would one day pile up and even become enough to buy the object of his desires.
Which is?
Well.
What is it?
He worked from dawn till dusk for what could be considered an eternity at the time in order to collect the funds needed to accomplish his grandiose plan.
Which is what?
Well, that's related too. This process continued until he finally earned around, $12. That was so much at the time.
12.
Counted, well, using the limited knowledge he had. After weeks, he could finally buy a new transformer. Man, even with his deficiency in brain power, the child still knew about the existence of taxes.
Oh god.
Well, you would
The
add
horror.
up 15% or around $3 to the initial price of any product, and basically that's taxes, right? Man. Thus, he made a demonic pact with his mom to account for it. She would lend him $3 in exchange for the leftover money from the purchase he would make with the transformer. The boy was smart, but he had calculated the exact amount of money needed for the purchase so that there would be no leftovers and thus no money to give back.
What a genius.
I know, right? That was the genius plan. Well, days passed and it was finally time for the transaction to be made. The youngster and his parents headed to Maxi. Of course, Maxi sold transformers at the time.
Really? It did?
Yeah, they did. After having pinpointed the exact aisle the object was located in, and having grabbed it, he grinned as he saw the label priced exactly $11.99, just as he had planned.
Why not 12, huh? Why $11.99?
It was time to
just
proceed to checkout. He dropped his sack full of coins in front of the cashier. Poor cashier, man. Having to count every single penny. And waited for her to count it all. Man, cue the waiting music. 2 minutes later. Well, no money should have been left over. Of course. Made sense. Unfortunately, something had to happen. Things didn't go as he planned. Well, after the cashier finished taking out every single money needed for the purchase, around half of the bag was still left in the sack. Well, that wasn't as planned.
Well calculated.
Yeah, the purchase was still made, and the boy left the supermarket and went home with, of course, his new transformer as planned, an empty wallet also as planned, but his spirit was shattered. He was a changed man. From that day onwards, he would learn every single aspect of mathematics and counting in order to never
Math.
ever have to experience such a tremendous loss again. Well, as you could have guessed, that boy was me. You know.
I didn't know that. Wow. I'm shocked. Good job. Good job calculating. Alright.
Alright then. So the title of my story is The Kingdom of Kayak.
Kayak. Okay. I mean,
Okay. So after a long and painful road trip, the 10 years old me now stood in the middle of a dense forest in a calm afternoon. Little did I know I was brought by my parents to lounge in a holiday cottage, tagging with other family friends whom all the little kids I find awkward to be with. The reason why were because they were all several years older than me, an introvert. So the house was hidden comfortably under a wide range of tree species, sitting just a little above a vast lake. And the lake was very beautiful, and it would be such a wonderful ride in a boat, but no one was interested. So now that I'm in front of the cottage, my serious car sickness reminded me to rest in the cottage just like all the adults and lazing through the following days till this holiday is over. But instead, the teens pestered me to the woods to play hide and seek tag, a very competitive game.
Indeed.
Table starts up on the mountain, goes into the centre of the court, round by the ridge, and he goes round by the lily.
Yes, though trees provided me very comforting shades because I was sweating very hard from the scorching heat, the air was still very warm, humid, with the scent of soil. The ground was filled with web and flora tickled at my leg. Nowhere to hide in the woods, the key to this game was agility rather than hiding to roam across the land.
Wait, how is it? How can you not find a hiding spot in the forest?
I mean,
Well,
the
forest hides the trees.
there's only trees. You can't stick behind a tree, but then they just have to go around the tree to see.
Yeah, what he said.
So it's not very
Oh,
a good place to hide.
okay. Alright.
But once again, it was hide and seek tag, right? You need to touch the people in order to find him.
Not sexually.
But anyway, the game was speed and agility, but sadly the difference between me and the older kids in athleticism and flexibility made it look like cheetahs chasing after me. So yes, they would catch up to me, grab me, push me, and trip me.
Isn't that
Whether it was
bullying?
on purpose or not was ignored, but they were just too aggressive. I felt like harassed, so it was just too much for me to handle. Furthermore, if I were to chase others, the game would never end unless I surrender. Yes. So my pathetic self refused to accept my unavoidable fate. If he couldn't run, he could seek the lake for help.
Who's the,
Yes.
the wise ones?
Let me explain.
Alright.
Because no one could reach there. So I'm safe. It was finally my turn to exhibit superiority.
T-pose for dominance.
Yes, dominance. Yes. So, as I said, wait, where was I?
River, you wouldn't. You found a place you can finally exert your superiority over them.
Yes, on the lake. Yes, on the lake.
Wait, you swam in the lake?
No.
Oh,
You
you like
see-
near the lake? Like you went near the lake?
But anyway, the lake stretched very far away in an intricate pattern as I approached blithely. Fuck.
Why is he laughing?
Yes, so my prodigy plan was flawless. I pondered, oh man. I pondered. So in front of the lake, I saw a frayed red dock. Red kayak, which the collar was worn over time. That was tied to a floating dock, right? So I went on this dock and hopped in and rowed quickly away despite my clumsiness, which suddenly exposed me to the blazing sun and which left me blinded for an instant. It was a very refreshing experience, and in fact, I had never rowed before then. So quickly, the kids found me somehow and screamed at me to come back. Then I thought, haha, look at those mere ants. They're despicable for trying to harass me. And plus, for me to reside in my own palace surrounded by sapphire gems, there was no need for me to come back. And so they went away. So in the middle of the lake, I stared upon the alluring scene unveiled in front of me, but the gentle breeze and the statue's still tranquility transformed a bad turn. The sky was overtaken by heavy dark smokes. Damn those... Wait, what are they called? The type of clouds that are meant to rain.
Cumulus.
Cumulonimbus. Waves and even worse waves of wind just went on and tumbled endlessly my boat in the lake upside down. And even the green trees that were very colossal standing from the shoreline were having difficulty standing straight. My mentally challenged frontal lobes didn't quite grab accurately the severeness of my situation, thinking a while of waiting would just end it all. Without any remarkable progress, the harsh weather would just still go on without letting me off the hook, right? So, but rather, I was completely soaked by the rain, and the kayak was beaten by nature, warning me that it could capsize anytime. So, by then, I was very anxious, and I stopped playing the pretend game because I resembled more of an ill-treated inmate than a great king. Plus, my inexperience petrified me. So, yes. But then, suddenly, my saviors were once again screaming at me. Those kids. Is it to deride at me? To make fun of me? Of course, because karma must be hitting hard. Yet those expected words never came. They yelled, but to anxiously announce me to wait and have the adults handle it. And they washed all away frustration and hurt and provided easement. And so my mind was back on track. I was very relaxed. So I endured. I endured for a while, and the adults came, and I was escorted. From today's perspective, I looked ludicrous. just another little baby throwing a tantrum, but I was weak and young. So the unknown forest gave me a great time relaxing after all, hiking through the woods and spending time with my comrades. So my adventure at the kingdom of kayak taught me how to row more efficiently, and of course that together is always stronger than alone with the power of friendship. So
I have the power of God and anime on my side!
a painful discipline by my parents, which was worth the trade-off because no pain, no gain, as they say. And so my story ends.
目覚めたまえ我が主たちよ